Hey everybody, JJ here, bull to the bust. It is Wednesday, March 18th. Stocks absolutely crushed again today. They had to halt trading, and this erases all of the president's gains since he did take office. We're seeing spike in unemployment and unemployment benefit requests, and the website's actually crashed in some areas. We're going to talk about that. The people bailout, the bailout for the working class, we the people, so to speak. The talks now say $2,000 per person on April 6th. It's still unfolding. Unemployment spikes, and it's likely to hit 20%. But if you look at the real numbers, it's going to be 40%. We're going to talk about what that means and do the breakdown. Places that had complete shutdowns the earliest are seeing huge spikes. 600% unemployment spike, for example, in Ohio. And this could be a canary in the coal mine for the rest of the nation. So get ready. Let's get into it. Now, first of all, I apologize if you hear some noise in the background. All the kids are home from school because of this pandemic outbreak. So you might hear some noise, some cartoons playing, stuff like that, screams. Well, hopefully not screams. But here's the stock market today. It's actually resumed trading. We're down over 2,000 once again, another 10% drop in the Dow. And now we have erased all gains from when the president took office, all in just a matter of weeks, right? So think about the magnitude of this drop. This is historical times that we're living in right now. Similar on the S&P, the NASDAQ all down 8%. Gold took another hit, 14.74. Oil down to $21.66. Now let's take a look at the WTI here. This is going all the way back to the early 2000s, but 2016 we saw the big panic in the market back then, and we got down to below $30 intraday. I think it closed, the low close was about $30. So if we close today at the current level, this could be the lowest in about 30 years. Now let's go back to a 6-month chart, and we see this times very well when the panic started unfolding. Back here on January 6th, that was oil peaking at about $63, and ever since then, basically the beginning of the year, it's been all downhill from there with a couple little dead cat bounces along the way. Speaking of dead cat bounces, let's take a look at the stock market. We told you, and I'm sure most of you knew already, that this was going to get worse until this outbreak is contained, if and when it ever is. Expect to see more and more carnage, and now here we are with all of the erased gains over the past 3 years. Let's bring up a chart on this. And let's go right here to early 2017 when Trump took office. Essentially, we're about 19.8, somewhere around there, 19.6. And here we are today, 19,265, just a historical plummeting in the markets. All right, and I really do have to put a lot of blame in the current administration. The president was out there saying stocks look good. Acting very calm about just everything, about the economy, about the debt, about the bank bailout situation. Just not leveling with the average American people, basically thinking the people were too dumb to probably understand it. And maybe he was right, because a lot of people really got hurt by this. And actually, I should rephrase that. It's not that they're dumb, it's just they weren't looking in the right area. People were looking at the stock market going up over the past 3 years, thinking that was representing that everything was fine. So people were distracted, people were misled. Not uneducated people. A lot of people that got burned in this were very smart. It's just they weren't paying attention to the right indicators in the market. All right, this bubble was going to pop no matter what. Yes, this pandemic, this outbreak was the pin that popped the bubble, but we all knew the market and the economy in general was in a bubble. Right? So like we always talked about over the past couple of years, record debt for consumers, national debt skyrocketing, trade deficit skyrocketing, corporate debt skyrocketing, individual household debt skyrocketing. It was only a matter of time, and this is just the pin, and this is now the convenient excuse for the markets to plummet. Now when you look at this from the peak in the stock market, we are approaching a 40% haircut off the stock market. So imagine losing almost half of your retirement account in a matter of weeks, being totally unprepared, not knowing that you were even in stocks in your retirement account. Many people don't realize that until it's too late. And that's going to only add to the panic that's already out there because of this outbreak. So this could get a lot uglier before it starts to get better. Will it ever get better? Well, many people are saying that this is going to be the plunge straight into the next depression. I'm not predicting that, but I do say that we should prepare for it. Now it's pretty interesting, all the people, not all the people, but most of the people that used to come to the channel and make fun of us and say that we were doom and gloom, a lot of them, I don't really see them down in comments anymore. I'm sure there's still some down there. But just because I say to prepare for something doesn't mean it's going to happen. Just like today I say prepare for a worst case scenario. That could be more food shortages, Great Depression 2.0. People are reliant on credit cards and debt to survive. People, 99.9% of people do not have their own source of food. Nobody grows food anymore. Even the people that did grow food, the farmers, a lot of them have been wiped out over the past few years because of the severe weather patterns that we've seen. All things that we've talked about on this channel. If you're a regular viewer, it should be no surprise any of this is happening. People are massively unprepared completely in most cases. All right, let's talk about the quote-unquote people bailout. Now, there's talks that it's going to be $2,000, and the checks are supposed to be sent out on April 6th, but every day, every hour that I look at it, it's different, and it's unfolding continuously. So we're going to tell you about the latest, and also unemployment websites crash as certain areas see huge spikes in unemployment. Let's go ahead and get into some information here. Now, Treasury Mnuchin was out there basically summarizing the virus and proposal for this bailout, the stimulus package, this rescue package. It's going to be $500 billion in aid checks in 2 installments, along with $200 billion in corporate aid, $50 billion for airlines, $150 billion for other distressed sectors, and $300 billion for small businesses. And there is some divide amongst Republicans for the stimulus package. It's going to cost about $1 trillion. I think it's going to be a lot more than that when it's all done. This is all going to drastically exceed what we saw back in 2008 with the TARP and the bailouts and the stimulus programs back then, right? And I think most of you know it just gets added to the debt. Even before this, it was already unpayable, so I see this as very insignificant right now as far as worrying about the amounts of these bailouts, right? So think about it. Why are they arguing if it's $1 trillion, $2 million, $10 trillion? The debt is unpayable anyway. That's like somebody that makes $20,000 a year with $200,000 with a credit card debt, right? They're never going to pay it off making $20,000 a year. So why not just run up the credit card? Why not run it up until it gets shut off? Well, will the national debt ever get shut off? Will we ever be able to stop doing these $1 trillion plus bailout rescue packages? Well, we'll have to see, but many are definitely looking at that, saying that this is not going to be something that continues forever. Now, I just pulled up this latest report here, and here's where it talks about $2,000 to Americans, including $300 billion for small businesses. Now, the language has changed even from earlier today, and this is out of the hour.com. It had been 1,000, now it's 2,000 to many Americans. Before they were saying every American, and that's why I was saying, well, what about billionaires? Do they get a $1,000 check too, like Jeff Bezos? And now it's also increased for small businesses, $300 billion. Now, the White House will still need backing from Democrats before any plan can be pushed into law. But Democrats have said that they would support sending cash payments to Americans who are struggling to pay bills because of the impact of this outbreak and this scare. I don't see the Democrats backing down on this. Typically, they are for these types of programs, and we'll have to see how this plays out. But they may have to continue these. This could be a UBI type of thing that continues if this outbreak doesn't start getting contained. And maybe Andrew Yang will be out there as taking a victory lap for this whole idea of UBI. All right, let's talk about the forecast here for unemployment, and it's already starting to spike big time in some areas. We've got a 600% increase in Ohio. Now, that was the state that one of the first states to go ahead and shut down everything from restaurants, bars, right, most entertainment venues. And are they a canary in the coal mine for the rest of the nation? Well, a 600% spike in unemployment means that, yes, the American people are going to need a continuous bailout if this happens nationwide. Now, keep in mind, unemployment is to hit 20%, or that is the forecast based on the current trend. But really, when you look at the un-cherry-picked numbers or the non-cherry-picked numbers, it's going to be 40%. If the real reported rate, or I should say the fake reported rate, goes to 20%, the real rate, as put out by Shadow Stats, for example, is going to be 40%. Now, the real rate, the non-cherry-picked data, includes things like long-term discouraged workers, people that have dropped out of the labor force because they can't find work for so long, or their particular skill or industry is no longer in demand. Here's a report here out of NY Daily News. This is New York's unemployment system overwhelmed as pandemic shutters businesses across the state and requests for unemployment surge. People are going to the website to file for unemployment, and basically the system is not available. The website has crashed. Now, just recently, Treasury Secretary Mnuchin told members of Congress that this crisis could actually push our unemployment rate to 20%. Again, he's using the cherry-pick number that doesn't include the long-term discouraged workers. Also, it doesn't include people that are underemployed, people that can't find work in their particular sector or skill. Right? So you can imagine how bad this is going to be if there's a 20% official unemployment rate. That's going to be close to 40% or higher in the unofficial number. You're going to see a lot of desperate people out there. Again, most people are unprepared. People don't have their own source of food. If you haven't stocked up already, get what you can. Anything in a can that's got a shelf life of a year or more, go ahead and grab some if you can. If this whole thing starts to fade away in the coming months, then you'll have some food already that you can eat. It's a no-risk preparation, right? The food, you could still eat it if you end up not needing it, and if the stores start getting their shelves stocked up again. Okay, this is what we mean by preparation. Prepare for the bear, right? Some channels aren't as extreme as our channel. We've been saying this for a couple years now. Some channels say go out and buy gold and silver. What good is gold and silver going to do if people are starving, right? No one's going to want to give you their food for your silver, right? I see silver as a insurance policy against hyperinflation, and I believe hyperinflation is down the road. So that's why I'm still accumulating it. But for an investment or for survival, not so much, but I could be wrong. It depends on your area. You may find someone that does have food that's stored, a neighbor, someone around your local vicinity that will give you food for metal. It all depends on who you're dealing with, right? So there's no correct answer. I try to be balanced, and I hope you are doing the same. Again, hopefully this all fades away. I'm not trying to be an alarmist here. But in the meantime, something else I've been doing lately is getting seeds, and I hope it's never going to be to the point where I have to only grow food because the stores are not going to be restocked. I hope it's not that severe, but just in case, I do have some seeds, and I put a link down below to the best deals and the most seeds I could find, and it is a link that if you use it, it does help out this channel a little bit, so it's not going to cost you anything extra to click that link. If you're interested, get some seeds to have there. I've already got a bunch of pots in the backyard that have been unattended for like a year or two. I'm now starting to, when I get free time, put soil in them and start planting stuff just in case, And even if this all does fade away, it's not going to hurt to have a little fresh food coming out of the backyard, right? So, all right, everybody, hope everybody is prepared and ready for what lies ahead of us. Thank you for watching this. I hope you stay healthy and stay safe. Appreciate all your support. Bye for now. Oh, and don't forget to check that link down below. Bye for now.